Hi there, Will here, and today I'd like to talk to you about some things that I've purchased recently or came into because I don't know, don't really have much else to talk about at the moment, and I figure some of it might be of interest to you. To start out, I want to preface this by saying that I'm aware that there is a section of people who watch these things who are not particularly interested in gear, which is fine. I don't find the act of purchasing things to be particularly important in my creative process either, but the things I'm going to show you here today actually came into my possession in an interesting way, so I figured I'd share them with you. And some of them I just bought because, some of them are actually quite useful. I figure the best way to do this would be to just share these with you in the order that they came to me, because I can't really figure out a better way to do it. So first off, is going to be this marvelous briefcase, which contains a Nikon FE kit. All of the cameras I'm going to show you actually came to exist because my mom, who of course being a mom is largely invested in my YouTube channel, has developed an interest in scoring deals on cameras. So this particular Nikon FE that I have now cost about $20, I think, and it came with 28mm f3.5 prime lens, this huge zoom thing, which is like probably never going to get used, but it's a 80 to 200mm lens. This trigger doohickey, which I'm pretty sure you can connect to the camera with this if you wanted to somehow mount it onto the camera and fire it with a trigger. A motor drive, which doesn't work, unfortunately. The camera itself, of course, which is a very pretty thing. And not one, but two times adapters. So if I wanted to turn my 28mm into a 50mm, or the 80 to 200 into a 160 to 400, then I could do that. Or even double it, potentially, since I got two of them. And the last few things are like a lens hood and some creative filters, like a streaky one and a spotty one. A very good pickup, all in all, for $20. Even still has a warranty. But that's not the end of my mom's wheeling and dealing. No, because very recently, she managed to score these two nifty things. A Rolly 35T, which I constantly refer to in my head as a Ricoh for some reason, because, I don't know, I guess my brain just wants these to be Ricohs, which is a nifty little camera. I mean, mainly for the sake of being super small. I've only ever put one roll through a different one that David lent me just to tinker with, and I think 90% of that roll was out of focus, because clearly my zone focusing ability hasn't managed to carry over from the Nikon Osses into the Rolly 35T. But that being said, it is a cool thing, and its destiny is probably to get cleaned up and sold on, just like the Nikon FE. I'm not sure if I'll even make a video out of this, because I don't want to waste another roll of film having everything be out of focus. And then her final score, for the time being, is this classic Pentax Espio, which works and makes all the fun sounds, and will even flash us if we're lucky. So yeah, also good to flip. Really don't know if I'll make a video on that. I mean, maybe like a cheap point and shoot kind of vibe. But basically, she's bought them, and I'm going to tinker with them, get them cleaned up nicely, and then sell them on for her, probably. So not me just collecting gear for the sake of collecting gear, as you might have thought. The next thing I'd like to show you came to me because someone sent it to me, all the way from Japan. And it came packaged in probably my favorite type of packaging that I've ever seen anywhere. Like, the stamp is beautiful. I don't know, I guess Japanese text is beautiful. The cardboard packaging is beautiful. And what it contains is a photo book that someone made. But the trick with it is that it's not a photo book someone made recently. I think these photos were made in the late 90s. And the person who made the book, named Mr. Takuya Ishikawa, is just now putting out physical renditions of it. Yeah, captured from 1996 up to 2004. And for me, that's a pretty cool idea. When I got the email from his friend, who I think is who got in touch with me, saying that he'd like to have the thing featured in a video. I mean, I'm dubious when I get emails like this because I obviously can't do this sort of thing for everyone. But for me, this is actually a really cool project because there's a lot of photos that I make that I don't do anything with. And the fear is that nothing will ever get done with them. But here is Mr. Takuya showing us that there is potential for things to live many years after they were made. And the book itself is quite pretty. I mean, it's a nice little document. It doesn't have the embossed hardcover, what's the word, cloth material vibe going on. But the contents are essentially just images that this person made between 1996 and 2004 from inside a newsstand that he managed to gain access to. And I think it's like a really cool little document that wouldn't exist if someone hadn't decided to publish it 20 years after it had been brought out. I mean, there are things to be said for like the fashion as well and the variety of people that get to be seen. And I actually really enjoy the fact that it's all pretty much the exact same composition, you know? Nothing really changes that much between things in the background outside of billboards, because there are billboards in the background. Like, it's not a weak scene that Mr. Ishikawa decided to photograph a couple hundred times 20 years ago. Like, it's a cool scene, but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't detract from it, that it's basically the exact same scene every time, because it makes you focus more on the personalities in them. So yeah, if you'd like to pick up a copy, there's a link in the description of this video. Hopefully someday, 20 years from now, all the pictures that I make that I don't do anything with can end up in a book. And as a final little tidbit on it, because I think it's actually quite beautiful, the cover was silk screen printed by an organization that gives people with disabilities jobs in Japan. So it's just a really cool little thing, and hopefully you enjoy it if you manage to pick it up. And then the final thing I'd like to talk about having picked up recently is this, which is my Godox AD400 flash, basically. Strobe, flash, pack light, monolight, I don't know. There's a large variety of descriptions for these sorts of things. But basically what it does is it throws flashlight, and also has a modeling lamp that I can use for video, which was an appealing factor in picking it up. I mean, the main reason I bought it is because I've been waiting since 2019 to buy a nice strobe kit. Kent, my friend, who has one of these actually, and was the guinea pig for me making sure that these are actually usable lights, told me in 2019 that a battery-powered strobe isn't the way to go, because if you want to shoot studio things, you need to be in studio. And Kent was incorrect. And I've told him that a million times, and if he happens to see this, he's not going to be particularly impressed, because I have let him know that he was wrong in that regard, especially because he ended up buying one. And now the time has finally come, after this photo season, for me to buy one. So more strobe things to come, I guess. It's a really cool strobe head, by the way. I mean, I should probably talk about it a bit. Its reliability is alright, but the main determining factor in picking one of these up is that it's about half the price of a Pro Photo and fulfills the roles exquisitely. In fact, I'd say the closest competitor to it in terms of functionality and output would be like a Pro Photo B10X, which I use a bunch in working. And whilst the Pro Photo is definitely a substantially nicer piece of kit, I wouldn't say it's worth double the price, especially considering the fact that this is a 400 watt strobe, and the B10X, unless you get the B10X Plus, is 250 watts. So you get more power, equal versatility, reliability, so-so. I mean, it's not like it's likely to explode or anything, or more likely than a Pro Photo, but this specific head, in use with Kent and in my use as well, has a tendency to every now and again just not flash, which is massively inconvenient if you're shooting medium format film with it, because one missing frame is quite painful. But it's not really worth double the price for a Pro Photo, even though the Pro Photos are very nice things. And yeah, it doesn't come with any modifiers. The modifier I've got on it is a QRP120T or something like that, which is an octobox basically, but a quick release one. So it doesn't take forever to set up, because I've had about enough of setting up octoboxes in my time at this stage. And this one takes about 15 seconds. Kind of beautiful. Doesn't come with it, but that's the modifier I chose. It comes with like this standard reflector type deal, which is cool if you want like the harsh strobe flash look or want to really overpower the sun in daytime, but can't go wrong with an octobox for lighting. It's a very versatile tool. Anyway, I reckon what I'll end on is the final thing I've been doing in terms of workflow these days, which is sort of revisiting the idea of magazines. I mean, for the initial period of making photographs, I was quite interested in magazines and focused on getting work published in magazines and ended up in some very cool magazines. And then I kind of lost interest in it when I left London, I think, mainly. Probably because it's a lot harder to get access to cool magazines in South Africa than it is overseas. And also, I don't know, harder to get published in the cool ones if you're not in the right spot, I found. But I revisited it recently because I've been reorganizing some filing things, and I had a bunch of cutouts lying around that used to be up on the wall, and I was like, it's actually quite useful to have reference stuff like this around, you know? I mean, if it's ended up in a magazine, it's probably going to be of a certain quality. I mean, sometimes people publish things that maybe aren't necessarily in line with what I want to make photographically, but like, an important part of making photographs is being able to explain to people that you want to make photographs for, if you want to make photographs for people, what it is that you want to do, and words and drawings sometimes don't do the trick. So what I've started doing is going through copies of old magazines I have and tearing out things that I can use as reference and organizing them in a binder. So in this particular binder, I've got it organized into things like sick, color, portraits, textures, studio, location, styling, documentary, props, poses, light. I mean, and that pretty much covers all that I was interested in this folder. And then the way I go about it is I use sticky notes to sticky note things and then tear out the pages I like. I mean, magazines are cool for like a read, and then you read it and then you know what's up, but quite an expensive thing to have if you're not going to do something with it outside of read it. So for me, tearing bits out and putting them in binders is feeling quite productive at the moment. I guess we'll see if I make anything cool as a result of having a more accurate way to explain to people what it is I want to make. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it didn't upset you too deeply if you don't like gear stuff, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that gear videos kind of speak for themselves, and irrespective of whether or not I find them particularly interesting to make, which, you know, in some contexts I do and in other contexts I don't. The silent majority is a large fan of them. With regards to work, I mean, you may have noted that I have not as of yet departed on a road trip with Stu. That's because, unfortunately, Stu had some visa issues that he didn't manage to sort out before the deadline would have been for us to go on a road trip. So that's been postponed until he returns. I'm quite keen, to be honest, on still heading out on an excursion myself, because I just want to shoot the project and finish it, to be honest. And there's somewhere I want to go where I reckon if I had 2 weeks, I could shoot the project and come back with something really stellar, because just wandering around Cape Town at the moment isn't really doing it for me, which is why I'm more interested in fashion things, because at least then you get to create your own little world, whereas you know, go on a drive, take a picture of a landscape, take a picture of something that looks cool, wait for golden hour story is just not doing it for me at the moment. And it's winter now, so that's not really particularly conducive to the most beautiful scenes. I'm actually quite interested in heavy weather at the moment, actually, so maybe there'll be a video of me out in the rain with my RB67, just to give people a heart attack. A big thank you to my Buy Me a Coffee members for supporting this channel. It's an immense help to know that there's some things coming in for the sake of having put out these videos sometimes. And I'll see you again very soon. Not for a gear check video.